perfect 90 degrees corners like 100-ton granite boxes. They're insane. The Sarum boxes are one of the world's most incredible mysteries. Every aspect of these 24 granite boxes is peculiar and confusing, riddled with anomalies. Discovered in 1850 by French scholar and Egyptologist Aust Mariette within a giant underground necropolis of narrow tunnels in Saqqara, the Serapeum boxes have captured the interest of modern historians. Believed to be sarcophagi or coffins for sacred Apis bulls, the precision-perfect angles, mammoth weight, and their underground placement have baffled archaeologists, engineers, and historians. Today's most sophisticated technology and diamond-tipped drills would cower at the mammoth task of achieving the mathematical genius of the Serapeum boxes. How did an ancient Egyptian civilization armed with copper tools and chisels manipulate and shape hard granite with such accuracy? How were these 24 giant boxes that weigh 70 to 100 tons each not only transported to the site but also precisely centered and installed in their notches? Archaeologists theorize that the Serapan of Saqqara is an ancient Egyptian burial place for sacred bulls of the Apis, which were believed to be incarnations of the god Ptah. But why would Egyptians go through such incredible amounts of effort, manual labor, manipulation, and precise craftsmanship to bury dead bulls, albeit divine? Seems like an overkill. Carved out of giant blocks of granite, the Serapeum granite boxes lie within miles of underground tunnels with remarkably perfect 90 degrees corners in the boxes. Ancient craftsmen managed to ensure precise geometry of the walls inside the boxes even at 11 feet apart. The mathematics involved in building this box is nothing short of phenomenal, and according to in-depth modern calculations, the dimensions deviate by thousandths of an inch, a negligible deviation, one that's almost impossible to recreate. How exactly did ancient Egyptians equipped with iron, bronze, and copper tools manage this level of accuracy, and what is the true historical significance of the Serapeum of Saqqara? Traditional theories by mainstream archaeologists are riddled with plot holes as large as the Great Pyramids. Mainstream Egyptologists date ancient structures based on engravings or inscriptions. Therefore, the official dating for the Serapeum boxes is based on the rough, amateurish scratches and carvings found on some of the boxes. Egyptologists have dated these carvings and hence the Serapeum boxes to 3000 BC. But the hieroglyphs on these select Serapeum boxes are crude and lack the original mirror finish of the boxes. There are also abundant micro-scratches and marks where chisels slipped on hard granite during the carving process. Imagine building these over-engineered boxes out of ginormous granite blocks with incredible mirror-like polish, only to hand over the carvings to an amateur that scratched chickens on top. This graffiti of carvings can't hold a candle to the super craftsmanship and mathematical genius of the Serapeum box. What if the boxes were built in a different era and inscribed by a different civilization? But the bigger question remains: no matter which ancient era is the mastermind behind these boxes, how can mere human muscle and strength possibly execute this architectural marvel? As we dive into other details of these boxes, we get no closer to solving these mysteries. In fact, the truth about these boxes continues to get even more confusing. According to scientists and archaeologists, the type of granite used for some of the Serapeum boxes isn't even available in the quarries of Saqqara. In fact, most of the granite blocks for these boxes came from quarries in the eastern desert of Egypt, with no rivers connecting eastern Egypt to Saqqara. The distance spans around 800 m of mountainous terrain and obstacles. Imagine transporting the weight of one granite block across the region without technology, without machinery, and dragging these blocks one by one on wood planks. Does that sound possible? But not all boxes are made of that specific granite from eastern Egypt. Some boxes are constructed out of granite that's found in the quarries of Aswan. Aswan is approximately 500 miles away from Saqqara, and although Saqqara and Aswan are connected by the river Nile, imagine the weight of only one of those quarried blocks on a boat in 3000 BC. With each finished box estimated to weigh between 70 and 100 tons, scientists estimate that a single raw granite piece required for one of these sarcophagi would have weighed over 200 tons. Egyptologists paint a picture of massive stones being put on planks and sledges pouring sand underneath to drag them smoothly over mountainous terrain, but consider the weight and mammoth size of these boxes and all these explanations fall flat. Moreover, an abandoned box sitting in the center of a tunnel had no wooden sledge underneath it. Without machinery, hundreds of men working in unison would barely produce enough combined force to shift this box. But this army of men wouldn't even fit inside the tunnels. Take a look at this box as it sheds light on several aspects of the construction process. Firstly, the tunnel is only 2 feet wider than the stone's width, so there's no room to fit the hundreds of people required to push the incredible weight of the stone. Secondly, the stone box is unfinished, which means the workers didn't complete the construction above ground. Instead, workers chose to take them into these narrow tunnels to be carved, finished and polished. Lastly, this box shows that for some cataclysmic reason the project was suddenly aborted. Some of the boxes don't have lids, and one box lid lies morosely in the entrance tunnel. Clearly they've been abandoned in different stages of completion. Now just imagine that work environment. Tight tunnels with some alcoves having less than a foot of clearance, manipulating hard granite with saws and chisels that's producing massive amounts of dust, trapped in a dark underground with barely any ventilation and clouds of dust. That is where ancient Egyptians executed the marvelous accuracy of the Abram boxes. How do we work with similar granite today? Explosives are deployed to remove chunks of granite lifted out of steep quarries by heavy machinery, then sliced using massive SS that work under hydraulic pressure. Moreover, in modern times, even with incredible advancements in technology, man simply does not want the headache of working with such giant blocks of granite. It would be simply put too difficult a task.